Aloha from the beautiful big island of Hawaii. Whoa, sorry. It's been a while since I've been on. We've had major events since the last time I made a video. We've had the COVID epidemic, and I had wanted to hop on during that, but I ended up, I had a little time off work surfing and injuring myself in a freak surf accident. I broke my finger. It's doing better now, but it took weeks to recover. And so I was kind of down energetically, didn't have a lot of energy to talk to you guys, but had so many things I wanted to talk to you. And I did take notes, and I am planning on getting that content out there for you. So just bear with me. Of course, we have crazy rioting going on in the mainland, and so things have been super intense on the planet. I really do want to help give you guys some guided meditations and stress relievers and things to just try to help you cope with all of the changes and things going on the planet. So yeah, it's really, really big. I don't know, for some reason my laptop camera is just not happening. So I am using my phone. I'm hoping I don't get any text notifications during this video. But bear with me, my equipment is really humble, and yeah, one of these days I might upgrade. But I did just do a talk for a panel in the UK talking about autoimmune disease, and I did do some research. Although myself, I have suffered with autoimmune disease for a really long time. Probably my whole life I've had issues. I have celiac, but it did take years and years and years to diagnose. But yeah, probably started suffering around 1990. So it's been a really long time. And that is part of what my whole journey was. I don't want to go too much into my journey in this video, but I will share my story at some point. Briefly though, the panel that we were discussing really did go into a lot of the symptomology of autoimmune disease. They tend to be cluster diseases. So, I have celiac, which is an intolerance to gluten, which sounds really minor, but what it does is actually destroy the small intestine. So because of that, you can't absorb nutrients, and then you get a host of other problems from malnourishment, which is undetected, and it's very, very elusive, and it can take a really long time to diagnose. But that can lead to thyroid problems, and you have diabetes, and you have lupus, and there's just a plethora of autoimmune diseases. Women are affected 78% of the time. It's a woman who is affected with autoimmune disease. Genetic research has found that the testosterone is a protectant during developmental stages for males. Women are more susceptible, but also women's systems are way more changing, way more delicately balanced. We have crazy hormonal fluctuations. Even if you look at child development, you can see when a girl goes into puberty, it's really up and down between this estrogen, progesterone, all these hormones interacting, whereas a male just gets that testosterone, and it's just a 90-degree angle straight up through adolescence into young adulthood. That's why you get these crazy intense males. Don't fight. Speaking of, my cats are fighting on the porch right now, right when I said testosterone. But so in male adolescence, you can see this, and you want to channel that into sports, or, it's just this very strong, young energy. And then they kind of taper off at 25, 26 years old, right? But for women, we're up and down and up and down. And then through our life cycle, we're up and down and up and down, whether we are PMSing, pregnant, nursing, premenopause, menopause, puberty. It is just a constant cyclical changing pattern with women. Our moon cycle, and it is the 28-day cycle, and it is this really ebbing and flowing, and this sort of delicate balance. And unfortunately, in our current world, where we're supposed to juggle children and work and education and all of these things that we're doing, we can't hit the world in the same way that a man can, right? We can. I'm not going to say that we can't. We can. However, in order to really be able to be to meet the demands, right, on a regular, consistent basis, we have to deny a lot of what our body is telling us to do, right? We have to take our time, our downtime, allow for our cycles, allow for these different things that happen. But if we're trying to compete in the world, say in the economic scene, in the career world, and juggle children and handle the fact that we're 7 months pregnant, going to work 40 hours a week with these hormonal fluctuations, the extreme exhaustion, maybe a baby at home. I mean, it's a lot. I don't want to go too into that. That's a topic for another video. So I probably have just a multitude. Of course, I work with Body, Mind, Spirit Connection. I have Eastern and Western background. I have my master's degree in behavior science and Western medicine. But then that foundation of research and understanding evidence-based methodologies. But prior to that, I had a long history of trying to figure out what was wrong with me. So I did study under native practitioners, cultural practitioners, yogis, Ayurvedic doctors, Hawaiian, traditional Hawaiian healers, Native American healers. Yeah. And then I got my degree in Western philosophy, but with an emphasis on Eastern philosophy and Eastern thought. So there's this whole paradigm of how the body is viewed, how we see the body. I've talked about it in some of my writing. Historically in Western mindset, Descartes really was big on the scene with that, and he really divided the body, mind, spirit up into parts. Then we even question, is there even a spirit? Whereas, if you're coming from an Eastern place, it's really integrated system. It's a really integrated system of thought and understanding that there is no disconnect between any of this. There's no disconnect between us and the earth. And that is a topic for another video. So this video, I just wanted to touch base because I did do a lot of research specifically for autoimmune. Specifically, I've been suffering. I never agreed with the allopathic model. I watched my mother die a gruesome death from cancer. That was one of my triggers for my falling into my deep illness. And then I had to get my way out of it. And as I was watching her, tied up to the bed with a shunt in her skull and feeding tube, it was very grisly and gruesome. Of course, it put me into shock. All I could think was I want to take her out of here. I want to put her under a tree and let her die with some dignity, right? To be in nature, to be somewhere beautiful. I've always been a nature girl. I surf. I lived in the woods. I'm a hiker. I'm a camper. I'm a nature girl all the way. I raise animals. I ride horses. I surf. So to me, that would be the ideal way to die, right? To be like one with nature, right? Not in this hospital bed, in this grisly situation, really feeling like it was like a guinea pig kind of a situation. It was 1992, and, they just didn't have a lot of knowledge about cancer. She had a good insurance policy, so why not? Why not just do some exploratory surgery while we're at it? So that being said, knowing that seemed just all wrong when I became really symptomatic. It was just prior. There was a lot of stress from college. I was an astronomy major. I was also an actress, singer, dancer, trying to run this Hollywood schedule. I was already like on the verge of that. And then when my mom died, it hit. But that being said, there are, the Human Genome Project has been just really miraculous. In that if we're looking at this from a Western point of view, right, there are these genetic precursors, right? So autoimmune disease is one of those genetic precursors, right? And so, taking that DNA testing and understanding predisposition, I don't know if I want to say precursor, but predisposition. And then there's trigger factors that are environmental. So you have your genetic predisposition, then you have environmental stresses, emotional stresses, toxins from the environment, dietary issues. So, everybody's really, really unique. Like, everybody is very unique into what they are predisposed to, right? And very unique in the approach to how we need to look at them and treat them. And this is where, say like Ayurveda or acupuncture, Taoism or Eastern thought just has it so far over Western methodologies and disease concept, right? Because this person that comes in has this entire lifetime of experiences and then this entire family history, right? That is threaded through that in the genes, right? But all of this plays into like the Eastern thought of energetics, right? In the Eastern energetics. And it's very interesting to see some of Eastern thought, how Eastern thought works, and then I don't like to say disease, right? Because I see everything as more of an imbalance. But what we've deemed to be disease in the body from a Western perspective, how strong the correlation is between Eastern thought in that manifestation of that energetic property and the Western disease that would be related to those conditions. So it's just been a fascinating journey. When I hopped on here, it was because I specifically was researching autoimmune disease. They occur in clusters, so it is not uncommon to have multiple autoimmune diseases. So I have personally suffered with celiac being what I would call the underlying condition. For me, that's a dietary condition. I have a genetic inability to absorb gluten, to digest and absorb gluten, right? It just destroys my body. That being said, there's these other things that have stemmed off from that, right? So chronic pain, right? Fibromyalgia, chronic pain, chronic exhaustion, chronic fatigue syndrome, hypothyroidism. I would say those are the three main ones, but then just this host of hormonal imbalances. I had a very difficult labor. I almost died in labor. That threw me into an early menopause, right? So dealing with hormone issues and emotional issues. And then there's these energetic things that happen. And it's just this big, amazing world, that we need to just try to balance out. And so a lot of what I do is work with individuals, body, mind, spirit, right? Understanding, like, there's so much research now coming out, really, that the research is just so interesting because insurance, the Western medical model is all evidence-based, right? All evidence-based. So unfortunately, a lot of these evidence-based research models or research, research journals that we have been really based on male health, not women's health specifically. Women have always just been sort of brushed aside and, take a Valium, or you're freaking out, or you're having anxiety, or you're this, you're that. We're different. We're different creatures. We can't pretend to, things are not going to manifest for us the way that they manifest in a male body. It's just not going to happen. We're just not designed the same. We're just not. We aren't. But it's just that simple, right? So in order for medicine to catch up, there has to be the evidence base. But if the journals are behind, then medicine can't catch up. So women are in this funny in-between place where we have to start like being our own doctors. We have to go do our own research. And now, recently, I would say 2000, maybe late 1990s, 2000, starting to get that research for women that we need. Understanding that, no, we don't just lock her up in an insane asylum because she's menopausal. There's really actual chemical issues going on with the woman in her body. Physiologically, the chemistry that's speaking to the brain is not allowing the brain to function the way the brain needs to function in order to sustain the organism, right? All that being said, yeah. So what am I trying to get to here? It's all about balance. I think I was going to talk about stress and anxiety. This places a tremendous amount of stress and anxiety. There's so much research now that shows with the way that stress affects the cortisol, affects the endocrine system, the glands. If you exhaust your adrenal glands, your thyroid can go out. If your thyroid goes out, that's just a a host of other symptoms and irritability issues. If the pituitary gland, malfunctions, the endocrine system's all interconnected. All these systems are all interconnected. The brain gets the hormone signals tell the brain what to do. What the nervous system does tells the rest of the body what to do. And if it's just like all these messages are all crazy, all these symptoms start coming up. And so when you're with a Western medical doctor, they start treating symptoms. They're trained to treat symptoms. I'm not going to say all general practitioners, all doctors, right, don't do research, but they're so bogged down with so many patients, with so many things going on, right? They can't necessarily do the research, right? To get that critical research, they trust the pharmaceutical companies. So it's really just one symptom after another symptom after another symptom. And then that medication causes all of these side effects. And then so you're chasing side effects and you're medicating side effects. And then pretty soon you just have this big mess and you can't find out what's going on. So one, get your DNA tested, see what your predispositions are. Two, coming up with a balanced life. I have a lot of suggestions. I'm trying to create content. Meditation's amazing what they're finding, what meditation and yoga does, actually releasing those necessary hormones to keep the mind calm, to keep the body balanced. You talk to your cells, right? You're programming your cells with your thoughts, your mind, your thoughts, how you think of yourself. You're actually programming your cells. You're telling them what to do. So I think that's it. I think I'm going to get off. I just got a notification. My phone's running out of batteries. I wanted to share that information. I guess just the talking points on that to hit home. Really check your DNA. Understanding autoimmune disease is really common among women. The last research I could find, or the newest research I could find, stated 8% of the population. 78% of the population are women. I'll probably go more in detail on thyroid later because wow, in this panel I was on, just woman after woman after woman was talking about thyroid issues. And stress reduction, diet, meditation, balancing your life, time management, all of these things. These are all things that I work with, all things that I want to do. Check out my website, www.corygala.com. I will be trying to post new content, new articles, new YouTube. And I appreciate you for listening. Aloha. Have a beautiful day.